See, yes. Hello, everyone. We are live today, the 30th at 1 o'clock. As you can see, I have these beautiful, beautiful ladies, Alidia Weaver, Faisa Grotens, Clara Reyes. And I'm very happy that we could come together and have a conversation about contemporary dance. What about contemporary dance? So before we start, and I explain to you what my motivation was in speaking to all of you, I think it would be great if each one of you would introduce yourself, and so then the audience can get to know you a bit better. Yes. So yeah, who will go first? I think let's start with Clara.
Okay, so good day all, depending on what part of the universe you're in. I don't know what time zone. My name is Clara Reyes. I am currently the head of the Department of Culture in St. Martin. However, prior to that, I was the founder of Imbali, Center for Creative Movement, and then post that, the National Institute of Arts. For a very long time, I was an interdisciplinary artist, which means I was lucky enough to perform in the US, oh my God, in Africa, throughout the Caribbean, and all the way as far as Taiwan. And now I try to really create a platform to continue to make arts and arts education available to as many people as possible. So that's my journey.
Beautiful. Faiza, you want to continue?
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Thanks, Clara. Wonderful, Faisa.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Faisa Grotens. I am happy to be here with these amazing ladies. Thank you for arranging this, Shareli. My name is Faisa Grotens. I am a choreographer, dancer, movement director, and teacher. Right now based in Amsterdam, but born and raised in Curaçao. I'm working as a freelance choreographer and dancer and teaching at the University of the Arts, Amsterdamse Hogeschool voor de Kunsten in Amsterdam, but I am working in between Netherlands, Mexico, and the Caribbean. I've been developing my language for the last 10 years since graduating and mostly taking Caribbean origin as an inspiration. But in a contemporary form. I've studied in the Netherlands and in Cuba, and I've worked also internationally.
Awesome. Awesome. Alidia?
Hi, my name is Alida Weaver from Aruba, and studied modern contemporary. And I actually started at the Boston Conservatory doing musical theater. Actually, because of my mother, Diana Antoinette, she's also a dance teacher. She owns a dance school in Aruba. And because of her, I was always inspired since small to dance and then continue my dance and career at the conservatory. 2 years musical theater, and then I switched to dance. And then I continued at the Alvin Ailey Dance School in New York. You also went to also were at the Alvin Ailey, right, Clara?
Yes, I was there between, I think, 82 to 84.
Beautiful. I was there from 2001 to 2003. Yes, it was an amazing experience. I love it. And also conservatory where I studied with different beautiful teachers that I wanna. I don't know if they're online, but I wanted to thank them. Diana Arvanites Noya, Tommy Neblet, Jennifer Scanlon, who was a student of Jose Limon, and different other teachers that I'm so grateful and thankful that I had the the chance to study with them. Also at the Alvin Ailey, yes, different teachers from during those times, and yeah, so after that, I went to Aruba in 2004, and I also danced with Nathan Price Ritual in New York and Notario Dance Company. I performed, and also I went another that was later. I went to the International Dance Festival in New York City also. I performed choreography there with a small group. And for 17 years now, I've been presenting multidisciplinary dance theater performances in Aruba, Curaçao. Every time I present, I feel like I have to go to Curaçao to share that, to present that. I always work with all the disciplines. So artists from all disciplines form this together. We form this beautiful project. And since 2018, I'm here in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, based with my husband, Ryan Odeberg, my kids, and pursuing my career in the performing arts. And now, yes, I just received from Mondrian Fund stipendium. So that is going to be for 4 years. So I'm very, very excited. It's a big challenge for me because it's not only performing art performance, but also installation, uh, everything that has to do with, with the integration of different disciplines in the art. But as we're speaking today with dance, dance is the beginning, the source, I guess, for us for everything what we do. So that is going to be interesting. This talk today.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, thank you. That's we get all kind of a brief idea of your background and experience. I got one comment, Olivia. Your sound. We are aware that your sound is a
Yeah.
bit low.
Yeah.
So some of the audience also asked. So try to speak as loud as possible.
Okay.
As we hope that they can still hear you fine.
Okay. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I will just briefly state for me, it was interesting when I kept encountering dance. I am not a dancer myself, I'm a filmmaker and a video installation artist. But in making films, I work with different disciplines. And dance is something that I think it's very much kind of our first nature in terms when I think of rhythm, how rhythm is very important for us Caribbean people, and how they say, okay, we are born with it, and everyone can dance and can hear music, um, or can, yeah, and so I know that dance as a disciplinary act, also in professional, it's very important to our region. So for me, getting to know that there is a various, also a various mode of interacting with dance, also in the contemporary field, I find that is not openly discussed as much, or for me as the outsider, so for the audience. So then I thought, okay, who would be the best to kind of have a conversation in terms of contemporary dance? Because we often see when there is a festival, a celebration, you would have a group of girls or girls and boys dancing, or you would only have the cultural dance, folkloric dance that we're all used to, yeah, representing our heritage or history. So then I come to Clara Reyes because I know I've encountered you in Trinidad in various places. We've encountered each other, and I know you move about and you have a tremendous large experience internationally and regionally. And sometimes we go on, even in Trinidad, I remember you saying there is something about having your own signature, a Caribbean, like the own identity, So, yeah. So I know you have a particular vision in terms of FISA. I know you recently had a talk, and for you, like you said, you're trying to incorporate the Caribbean, um, yeah, background into your work. So I'm very curious, how you go about that, and in terms of how what you had to redo or undo in terms of your dance education, right? And both you and Clara were dancers, are dancers and are choreographers. So in terms of that is also an aspect that I think it's very interesting. And for Alidia, you come from dance background, folkloric background, but you have tapped into performance. So dance is a performance in the contemporary art world. which is a very different approach as well, or different. It's just another context that you are also presenting your work. So I think all of you have these interesting coming perspectives. Let me put it so. Um, so yeah, that is my motivation, and that's it. I hope that that is clear. The audience that is watching us, we have quite a few viewers, as I can see. Feel free to kind of comment or ask questions along the way, and when we find a gap, we will introduce the questions you have. I think it will be interesting to start with Faisa now and show your show reel, and maybe you can tell us a bit of what we're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah. As I am clicking, let's see. Yes.
Yeah, so this is a show reel I made last week of some of my works for the artist talk I had last week with Charelli. And I thought it was quite interesting to put together work that was presented on the stage and work that is presented as a short dance film. But eventually I made this compilation really quick. So the first part you saw is a part of Cornered, a teaser we filmed for a duet I created based on the physical experience of empathy. Then in the part of the jeans, I should go really quick, was part of a short dance film. This is also part of another short dance film. This one is called Beyond Evident, and the one more in the sand is Ambivalence. It's a lot of work. So that was in a presentation for Felix de Roy. Then it was in a show of Cornered. This is a presentation in Palacio de Bellas Artes, Mexico, of the Code. Another choreography I created, a duet, using a code as a comfort, a way to identify yourself with. This one is a work I created for Taller Coreográfico de la UNAM, a dance company in Mexico. And this creation used migration as inspiration. I worked with 10 dancers on a music originally composed by a friend of mine. This is another part of Cornered, the duet that it started with as a beginning. And as you see, I like to work with duets because I like the physical contact that comes out of that and the stories that can come out of the two bodies. This is a presentation in Bratislava with Diego Vasquez from La Leget, with whom I did the code also. This was in Curaçao, in Teatro Luna Blau, where we created Pendiente as an artist in residency. And then this one is also a short dance film I created now in COVID times, because I needed to go out and do something with my body, literally. As you see, the dance is also more physical, more in a snappy, harder, flashy way. I don't see the videos anymore. Do you guys see the videos?
No.
Okay, and it finished. But so I've made a compilation of the works that I thought might represent the artist I am now, because we keep developing throughout the years. Our language develops. What we made 10 years ago is not what we make now. The stories we tell, kind of, I noticed for me, the stories I tell kind of always stay the same. It always has to do with something about identity. And it doesn't always tap in the same identity, but same part of identity. But I'm very much inspired by the research on identity, because also I think identity is a big part of your culture, but culture and identity change constantly because of the people you encounter in your life and the situations you encounter in your life. So that is one of my main sources of inspiration, and also the source of sense of belonging, which also you can relate to identity, but also you can relate to sense of belonging to yourself, to another. Do you belong to another, no, you don't. You have yourself, you know. That is also in the duet work. It's not about relación amoroso. It's not necessarily about that at all, but it is, how do you see yourself within another person? Does the other person make you see yourself better? Do you understand yourself better while working with the other person? Does that body give you something that you didn't realize you had? These are things I really like to work with, questioning the whole time.
No, awesome, Faiza. And Clara, Lydia, what, when you see the show reel and you hear her talking about, can you recognize something from your own journey, or what does it tell you when you hear her?
Okay, when I think about myself and the role dance or art has played in my life, I think I want to begin by saying I was really blessed by having a mother that understood that she had a child who was very creative minded. You know, this idea of, people say, oh, I used to dance all the time, I used to sing all the time, but my mother immediately put me in a framework where I could really explore what that meant and be in a space to fully realize that. There's a poem that was taught to me a couple of years ago, and I feel it encapsulates my journey as an artist, dance artist, or a vocalist, or actress, or a filmmaker, because I do a lot of stuff, because I just feel like if I have all of this, I need to do it. So the poem is like a synopsis. It goes something like this. Our grandfathers were warriors so that our fathers could be businessmen, so that we could be artists. And I feel it's that luxury of my mom having an artist spirit and heart, but worked as a waitress and allowed me to live my life as an artist. And my grandfather being a sailor and really working hard to make enough money so that she could go to school, just get to school, you know? Mm-hmm. So consequently, in my journeys growing up here, I see all these amazing moments of creativity and artistry that are not being realized all the time. So consequently, my focus was all about me being an artist, but since I came home, it was about creating the platform for everybody to have art available to them, whether it's a dance class, a vocal class, a piano class, convincing parents that it is doable, it is possible, that is just a matter of fact. You know, especially being a Caribbean where you still have to convince people about art and artistry, and not just that, the intelligence attached to it, that there is an inherent intelligence within that landscape. So consequently, while I have myself, I feel I've managed to fulfill a lot of what I've loved, whether it was dancing in Jamaica with Lantonia Steins, who's this innovator who takes, the first time taking a dance class with her at the ballet bar, you know, we do Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, I'm winding my hips, you know, and breaking all the molds of what I was taught is the right way. And then I meet this Jamaican woman that throws all of that out the window and says, the Caribbean body is amazing, the Caribbean rhythm of life is fantastic, how we express ourselves is phenomenal, and it was the best thing ever. So, and that actually began with Gabri Krista, who came to St. Martin just before that summer in 1991. And she introduced me to Eduardo Rivera's technique. And then that summer I went to Jamaica, took classes with Eduardo, and I was like, yes, I have arrived. My body welcomes this expression.
And what is Eduardo Rivera's technique? Oh, because not everybody's a dancer. So what do I need to envision?
So Cuban modern dance. Faiza can best explain it.
Yes, I studied it. Yeah, I studied. I had kind of the same trajectory as Gabri Krista, and she is also like on education, and she's also a mentor of mine. But the Cuban technique is a modern dance technique that was formed through Graham and a bit of Cunningham, but they used all of their folklore on top of that to make it fit how they talk, how they move, how they stand, how they much more round, much more. I call it mostly much more round, but because usually you do a tandu with a straight back, and then with them, the spine is always undulating, the neck is moving. So for me, it's a much rounder technique than just the standard technique.
So
Okay, Clara.
all of that, so what my impetus has been in watching the video that you talked about earlier is how many of us have the possibility to really fulfill the artist's life, not necessarily as artists making money, but really getting to understand the artistry of living, that is the beautiful, that's the ultimate trajectory of our lived experience. Like when you get to live the full scope of yourself as you reach the artistry of your life. So for me, that's always been that ultimate trajectory because it's vocal, it's silent, it's noisy, it's quiet, it's loud, it's music, it marries with everything. And it's really a freedom of movement that works for me, you know. And for me, it was always a way to use it as a vehicle for others to find their personal voice, to find their way of placing themselves in this planet and say, I move in fully in my body. So it's for me watching Kai's work or anybody's work is like, man, the ability to be able to do that is such a gift. And whatever I can do as a contributor to create a platform to make it possible for others, that's where I'm living right now.
Oh, great. Thanks, Clara. Really, and my first reaction to you, you said, do you see that it has helped? So once you are kind of making sure that the platform is there, have you seen a growth or development since you've been busy? How is that?
Well, in a very pragmatic way, St. Martin now also does CXC, dance education, which is like the Caribbean examination, and they have theater art. So for a very long time, it was visual arts and all of that. Last year, through the National Institute of Arts and my business partner at the time, Ailey, we had in the first year, we had 11 students taking dance as a VAC and dance examinations. We now have students studying at Sam Lucas School for the Princeton. We have some in London. We have some in America. You know, people are now really pursuing a professional trajectory in the art. You know, others are in London, other states. So yes, that would be one of the things I can see, that people are more willing and free, and parents are more convinced because it was a VAC that they could study and examine, you know, that kind of area. So definitely I've seen the growth. And well, through my foundation, the National Institute of Arts, we at one time we were teaching dance in elementary school. So we were able to teach dance from 2 months old, like parent and child classes. We were in 6 elementary schools teaching in all the Lajaros, like in 6 Catholic schools. We were also in high schools teaching dance as a VAC. And I myself was teaching at a university using dance, humanities, you know. So we were able to really cover the full gamut from K through 12th grade. So from K to high school. So in that way, I've seen the platform we've created for more. And then, yeah, I mean, I can tell you many more examples, but I don't want to hog the camera because
can I say something about what you're saying? Clara, what you're saying is so important because in Aruba, that is not the case. You know, it makes me really sad when I see that the generations don't understand how important art, dance, culture, that it is all connected, but in our human way of thinking, that's not really the case. So actually, dance is people don't really understand that dance is a very important part of the art. So people don't really take it seriously. And I have to say that since I moved back, when I moved back in 2004 in Aruba, I started teaching at my mom's dance school, School di Ballet di Antoinette, which is started since 1996 when I went to study. It's been very, very interesting people's perspective of dance and what Charelle was explaining about cultural dances, social dances, and also having dance schools presenting their dance companies or dance groups in all the different forms of dance. And that really is something that needs to be implemented in school as part of the curriculum. I mean, they have the CKV, but it starts in the MAVO, it starts in the, it goes to HAVO and VWO, but as here in Europe or what you were explaining, you know, I think it's something that the government or people in the Rechtscultuur, people who have the ways and knowledge and who can who present this as part of the curriculum needs to really think about it. We spoke about it, we talked about it a lot of times. It makes me very sad to say that it's not really important. And
Sorry,
also, yes, sir.
just to kind of really tap into some the things that you mentioned, which is really important and relevant. You said there are very perspective of when you moved back home, people had various perspective of dance. What are you referring? Like, can you give us some examples of those? Yeah, kind of visions of what dance should be like or what it is.
For example, I have to say when when you go and take classes at a dance school, they would think that it would only be ballet, classical ballet, and there would not be any space for any other types of dance. You know what I mean? As folkloric or contemporary or hip hop or street dance. So you could see with that the generations. I mean, it's much more now that you see that the modern you see more fusions now with hip hop and modern dance and break dance and all that kind of form of dance because you that's more the interest of the young the generations that are interested now in dance because they don't see the technical part and the academic part. I think they are afraid of it, or they maybe they're also maybe lazy. You know, they don't want to. They don't have the discipline. They don't have the consistency of that. I guess it's part of the education. Also, when I have to say that in terms of the cultural background, you know, it's very interesting because I guess all the islands have a different view, a different perspective of that. But I would say, what I would wanted to say is that you don't, I mean, there are a lot of dance groups in Aruba. I know maybe in Curaçao also, in St. Maarten also, and their leaders would tell them, you know, it's good to take ballet classes or go. It's good and important to go to take dance classes at dance school, but they don't go. They don't see that as an important so that they can develop their talent, their technique, and you know, and to get to a certain level of movement and lines, and you know, so that is something that most of the dance schools in Aruba have been having a difficult time with. I mean, there are dance students who take, you know, who are dancing in dance schools, who are part of the dance academy or dance studios, and also are part of dance companies, you know, social dance companies. But, you know, I think people don't really understand that difference of dancing at a dance school and dancing socially as being an amateur dance, you know, that they don't understand that if you don't take class, if you don't work on your technique, you cannot progress and, you know,
But
become
it's
the person that you want to be.
but I also think that tapping into this, it's also because we have to be very careful with when we say technique, because African dance is also a technique, and so contemporary dance is the technique, ballet is a technique.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that you need a ballet technique to become a good dancer, because dance has also evolved throughout the years. I think it's very important to create a body a multiple body, a body that can embody
I
most of
do
the
agree,
techniques.
and I don't agree. I don't agree with you. I'm sorry. Not totally. Not totally. Not totally. But
um,
anyways, continue. Because I think it's interesting.
because when when we say ballet tech, when we talk about technique, we tend to talk about as ballet technique is the only technique, and I don't agree with this. I do think it's very important, if you want to be a professional dancer, that you train yourself in the most techniques possible. And if you do want to make shows, it is very important that you do get a good basis.
But
And
that is also what I mean. That is also what I said. That a lot of people, a lot of dance, a lot different groups of social dancing, because I call that social dance groups. You know, they perform for hotels, they perform for events, cultural events. You know, they the thing is that I see, especially if you're gonna present folkloric or traditional performance, reflecting the Aruban style, you know, you have to know also the way it's been danced originally, the essential part of this. And that is also that now that it's starting to change, that they understand now that how important it is, because if not, you will lose the essential. I mean, of course, as you said, everything evolves. Your body evolves, folklore evolves, culture, everything evolves. But you have to keep that. You have to have certain basic, certain part that needs to be always recognized.
I think it's about having a good understanding. If you want to do folklore, that you need to know where it comes from,
Exactly.
and you need to know what centers and what body parts are the initiations and how these coordinate. But I think the understanding in the Caribbean is mostly that first of all, there's not a good there's not a good understanding of what is dance. There is social dance, there's folklore, and there's theater dance.
Also, yeah.
Those are three different things, and it also is that mostly when on the islands we do art, we are considered as people that do art as our hobby, and we try to make it our work, but art is not recognized as much as such, that if you say, what do you do? I dance. But what do you, and then the question comes, but what do you really do? Yes, I am a choreographer and I'm a dance teacher and I am a dancer. But what is your work? This is my work. I studied it for 4 years and I've been working and earning my money with this for the last 10 years. But what do you, you know, that is something that, because a lot of people, when we talk about dance, relate to social dance. They don't understand that this is something that needs research, needs years of training, perfectionism, and to put it into such a product to earn your money with it. Say a folklore, say a contemporary, say a ballet, say a whatever it is, even you know, hip hop, commercial dance, all of this. They need a certain training and they need a certain research, dedication, hours.
Everything.
And I think that's the difference. But also we kunnen ze niet kwalijk nemen.
No,
because what you said, it's not taught in school, and it is still taught in school that if you're good in taal en rekenen, then you're a good student. But what about if you're good at painting? What about if you're good at dancing? What about if you're good at acting? Then you're also a good student, but this is not valued as such. And I think there's the biggest problem.
Yes, but I think if in our case, and also the dance schools who have been part of the island for the longest time, and also for generations and generations, they've been there. They've been contributing to the will you say that, the forming the dance platform on the island. And how would that not be possible that the community wouldn't understand that? Because people talk, you know, everybody knows, and people. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not enough. Yes.
No, I was gonna wait so I can add something.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so
yeah. Go. Yeah, say that. Go.
sorry. So one of the programs I wrote a couple of years ago is called CAP to the Third Power. And it means Culture and Arts Platform, Pride, Purpose, and Professionalism. And the idea was to use art as a vehicle. One of the challenges we face in St. Maarten was the fact that we don't have a very strong cultural traditional information system, an infrastructure to pass on traditional cultural values. So the idea was use the arts as an entry point into cultural traditions such as songs and dance, but at the same time, use the culture and arts platform to really educate on the disciplines of the various expressions. So just don't learn a song, learn voice training, like really practice notes, get the solfege. Yeah. So that was an idea. So those are things I did before I got into government as a department head. But now in my seat, we just did the last 4 years of trajectory, finding out, okay, what is our IC age? So now our next step is to sit down with the Department of Education to see how we can start do the stuff I did outside of government and see if we can get him earlier into the dance schools, into the regular curriculum. So one of the ways that Nia got into the school through Arlene at the time when she was the director of motions, they needed physical education. They didn't have enough physical education teachers in the Catholic school system. So she did this thing called Doga, which was dance and yoga, a combination thereof. So that was her way into the system where, okay, they got physical education and they got to learn basics and fundamentals of dance. Since that time, we have evolved now where now, because we have CXC as a FAC, and we're already in elementary schools, they're learning all the basic introductions of movement. What are the basic elements of dance? Body, space, time, force, just the basic elements and exploring what that means. And at the same time, learning the folkloric dances. Now they're doing CXC, then we have to understand the aesthetics of dance, the interdisciplinary nature. So they have to write papers, do research, so the theoretical component. And how that helped us was because Jamaica has a tertiary institution called the Edna Manley College for Visual and Performing Arts. It's an interdisciplinary campus that has a strong dance wing. And we took 30 students there to say, listen, guys, this is what it really means to study dance as a subject, more than just for recreation. So now they were confronted by going to classes, doing lectures, writing documents, doing the research, and really understanding their craft. So I think it's a matter of continuous education. The more of us that get involved, we understand better ways to make it accessible at a younger space. So right now, we as a department, we're focused on how do you introduce the concept of creative industry, culture and economy, and show that the 4 core pillars of creative economy are the art. Then the second level is creative services. After that, you have media and you have heritage. So, but not all of the others are possible if you don't have that learning institution that teaches the foundation of artistic development, artistic training. So generally, it's going to take a minute. Every time we add a new person to the evolution of the education of arts in our community, it takes a minute for it to just trickle down where we say, okay, we have 10 dance teachers, we have 26 elementary schools, we're going to send them into the school to teach dance, and but the other thing you want to be careful of, and for me, one of the things I was trying not to do was to teach dance in isolation, just the sequence of steps. You want to really connect to your lived experience. So you have the historical, the aesthetic. You want to make it connect to your human life story, so it makes sense. Otherwise,
there's no connection.
Yes, and the whole idea of ballet as being the perceived high art form versus African dance and stuff. We're lucky enough that we've always had a very interdisciplinary nature at our school because we both offer African dance on the equal level of ballet. We also have Bharatanatyam. I have an amazing classical Indian dance teacher. And I explain to my students, this dance is 5,000 years old versus ballet 500 years old. So we begin to understand the history of dance in a broader perspective, not just from a Eurocentric perspective, but as a variety of different languages, and each have their own value system, And so that's what we try to do. And that's how we try to make it possible here. And in my role as working for government, step by step. So for this year, we're organizing conversations on creative culture, creative economy, but we're organizing the first ever career fair for the creative industry, where we're bringing in all the dance professionals, all the yoga specialists, the makeup artists, and really show the full gamut of what is possible in the trajectory of earning an income as a creative person and what's honoring artistry.
Do you see a possibility? Because I see Fina Dance Art School. I know that that's a school in Curaçao, for instance, and like I see comments like, "What can we do to change for 37 years?" For me, it was very visible when my first visit to St. Maarten, and in terms of the arts, dance in St. Maarten is so. It's so like, to use for a word, advanced. I in terms of the arts, so it was so visible that in St. Maarten that's kind of very dominant being done as a discipline, right? But like when you have these events, because in our case it's most the government, Faisal mentioned, and Lydia also, it's the government that doesn't really see the importance really, and I see it again in the comment. But I think what you mentioned, you went to Jamaica. You went to other places where it is happening. That will feed you, empower you, in order for you to grow, or for you to create what you need to create or evolve. And then it begins to roll, because then you have something to show. So in terms of, I don't know if there is a contact. So is it, and that's what I find beautiful about this, that's also several islands, that we understand that, okay, you guys are doing or have done certain steps, that it's not, if the government here in our island is not supportive enough, I think interdisciplinary or having, organizations that are in those steps, that is something that can be done in that direction, definitely.
I think to add to that, for instance, it's not only about being a dancer or becoming a professional artist, it's also to what can art and dance do to make your life better, even if you don't choose this to become your profession. If we would say, okay, you know what? Alle lagere school, all primary schools, elementary schools have to stay in school till 3, 4, 5 o'clock. I don't know. Give them sponsorship for a lunch. It's a lot of money, but this is, and then they get bijles, but they also get to choose to get courses of dance, of baseball, of art, of video, film, everything, blogging, whatever, everything that has to do with the creative sector and sport, and let them understand that all of them may have a talent that they don't even know yet. Through giving them all of this, they can maybe recognize, oh, I can be a beatboxer, and I can beatbox very well. How can I use this? Or just getting these creative vaka subjects can bring their thought process, that they can actually make better connections with the theoretic work, cognitive work. Because als je creatief bezig bent, dan zet je een andere hersendeel aan, waardoor je sneller correcties kan maken. Sorry, I had to do that in Dutch. But it's like the transformation that art, because of art, a transformation happens in the person. And the value of this is much higher, much higher than the money that there's not there. Because when you have children longer in school, you give them bijles, de andere vakken gaan beter. Ze zijn creatief bezig, ze maken er betere connecties. Ze hebben meer vooruitzichten, ze hebben minder kans om met verkeerde dingen bezig te zijn. And of course, it's a lot of money at once, but what you're going to get out of it eventually after 10 or 18 years is going to be so much more valuable. That's going to bring the economy of the islands much higher. And people don't want to put that now because it's like a chunk of money. And I understand that. And there's problems here and there's problems there. But when we don't start to understand the value of art, that it's not only about art, but it's actually about everything else that has to do with life and economy and everything else, it will not go better. So we need people to understand the value of art. Sorry, that was my speech.
No, that's good. And Alan, I'm gonna wait, Olivia. I'm coming to you because I want to maybe go back to your practice, right? And indeed, we had a moment of like what needs to change, but I think
Yes,
it's
we
good for
need it.
people to kind of understand what the role kind of maybe two or three short examples. So I'm gonna show each videos, and maybe you can walk us through in what we're seeing.
Yes.
Okay, really short pieces because yeah, I think seeing the time that we have a moment that we can all talk together, and I also have a video for Clara. So
Can I say something, Clara? I'm very, very happy that you're saying that you're explaining yourself and your position in Kindergarten in the cultural department. I wish we had more people like you in Aruba and Curaçao that are so motivated and so passionate and about what you really your purpose. And I hope that can inspire a lot of other people also that are doing what they're doing in terms of uh, the community, because as we're talking now, everything is about the community, and the generation. So oh yeah, what do I have to say now? Oh, okay, yes. Well, my work has been, I have to say that um, after living in New York City for almost 4 years and dancing with two companies, dance was not the only thing I really wanted to do. I remember that for 2 years I was so absorbed also by the grand technique and completely captivated by this 20th century's most important contemporary choreographer, dancer Martha Graham, who developed an innovative non-traditional technique that spoke to more taboo forms of movement and emotional expression during her lifetime than any other choreographer or dancer alive. I feel that is how I feel. What really caught my attention was the introduction of architecture within the space of the moving body and the space of objects on stage. The relationship between these objects and dynamics and dimensions of the moving body or theater or performing arts on action. So at some point, Marta moved away from the more stark and static set design to initially incorporate more abstract sets to her work. So she did some collaboration with famous contemporary sculptors and designers such as Japanese American Isamu Noguchi, who that combination of rational and anthropomorphic sculptures complemented grand avant-garde performances, which really grabbed my attention uh, from that time, and through her work and technique, I understood the aesthetic of the body language. And as I got connected to my own instrument, I realized how important the human body was. As the years I've learned how to listen to my body, how it functions, I understood it's a progressiveness and to accept what it can and cannot do. Its boundaries, it's interesting. And my perspective of dance kept on changing through the years on how to progress within the different styles, movements, and gestures altogether, from dance forms to live experiences, language, different cultural influences and languages. And I felt the necessity to create something with it, not only forms or spaces, but to use it as a tool to incorporate the different, the different narratives of art, but also again experimenting with its boundaries. So this transition of movement into other spaces on art disciplines made me very much aware of everything that surrounded me. And my environment, my new spaces, new developments, the community, my family, my femininity, my heritage, my age. I experimented with these spaces of transitions through many years, even before when I went to study. Performances at exhibition openings, fellow artists, solo work, so group exhibitions, Eterno, Atelier 89 da Rua Caribbean Link, the Ruba Art Fair, and now the boundaries were crossed. Those boundaries were crossed to coexist with objects, materials, spoken words, and me, my body, and the unaware audience. So it made me more aware of the curiosity and the expectations of the spectators. So each presentation will be every time a new form of an experiment, momentum for the audience and the reaction to it. And those intense experiences, I understood that my focus was shifting unconsciously towards implementing and collaborating with the other disciplines for new results, new solutions to require better understanding and to solve complex problems of the mind, or to combine the perspective of two or more realities, social, cultural, political. So when I started researching these realities, I became aware of the multi-layered parallels of my own identity, my historical canon, that drove me more to get to the point of understanding myself, dealing with my feelings of small town mentality and frustrations and yeah. So know, it's it's a lot. I mean, it's like moving through time, but also age, and realizing that the old traditions of dance, when you get to 30, 35, 30, before 30, you cannot be a performer anymore. You cannot be a dancer because that's that's sad. That's how it was. That's how it is, and that's actually that has to do with age discrimination. I don't agree with that. And I think that the more years you put into your dance, and the more you experience dance in your own way, as you were explaining yourself, Clara, that the experiences of your career to your life has made you you're more in tune with your body, with that connection with the divine, with your ancestors, with everything that is part of who you are today. And I think also Faiza is going through that, also that experience, and I'm also going through that. For example, this video, when my sister was she had cancer, and my grandfather also, he died a couple of years ago, was a very difficult time for me. And I did a quantum hypnosis because I felt like I needed some place. I needed a way of to get I don't know, to find a way to contemplate, find a way to express how I felt, and it was very difficult. So when I did this quantum hypnosis, to actually wanted to help these family members, I was actually going back to my old patterns, my own passing DNA, ancestor parts of forms, and that's where everything actually restarted. And it was a beautiful experience. And also last year, how I presented Antipical, and at the Biennale, the 13th Biennale of Cuba. It was a research of 2 years, so it started in 2017, which is now going through a different expression and experience as I experienced my DNA test, coming from different backgrounds, 56 different kind of DNAs, different nationalities, 25 indigenous, and also originally coming from Nigeria. So, I'm very proud of who I am and what I carry within me. And that is going to be part of my work right now. And the stipendum that I received of Mondrian is part of, yeah, it's going to help me do that. Yes, exploring and trying to set that to set that also not only the dance movement, not only I have to call it now movement, but also to express it, yeah, from the inside out, but also, yes, I don't know, to have a complete experience for me. So that is, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's a beautiful experience now, but as we're going through this time because of COVID and because of Black Lives Matter, now, people are trying to figure out where they're coming from and where they are going. So I'm so happy that I'm in the right place. I'm in the right mindset, and I guess trying to inspire and aspire other artists to experience that too. To also go back to yes.
No,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's like it's so beautiful, and I'm like thinking, how are we gonna the time
I
tracker?
don't
But
know. It's
I
an
feel really
experiment.
bad. But
But
can we just, because this is interesting in terms of the images, but we wouldn't get a chance to see all. So can you just explain to us what we are seeing? Yeah, so maybe just go briefly, and then I have one example of the other video. But can you explain to?
yes, what I have on the right is a GoPro. I have a GoPro on, and then the other one is Brian, my husband, filming me. And it's just a very it was a very much of an improvisation. Um, for it was in one day taken with all these different dancers, also students during that time, and I asked them and I spoke to them. I explained to them my experience with this quantum hypnosis, and what came out, it was interesting because it's something that I just put together because I found that it was necessary. Um, the what I'm saying here is that now that I've been going back to these voiceovers about the hypnosis that I did, is that I've been through, I think in my past life, or through my ancestors, I think maybe I've been abused, or maybe I've been, because it says that I had, I was doing, I was doing what people would tell me to do, and it was interesting this one because you have to see it a couple of times to understand. But um, I guess the person that I am, that I'm always saying yes, I never say no, I'm always there. That part that is always present, and want to be that person to help, to be that help. Uh, that part that can always be there for somebody, or it has to do with that person that I was. I guess that I was going through this hypnosis, and but what I realized is that this hypnosis, this quantum hypnosis actually helped me uh, get back to myself and realize how important it is that you need to forgive, need to let things go, need to um, go back to your roots. You know, I mean, this has. I guess this is a different story that I need to explain another time. But what came from this film was Peña Sata, which is now in the community in Aruba, which is part of
Wait,
the.
Olivia, do you have a speaker on? Some of you, there is a speaker.
Sorry?
Maybe turn out down the volume because I have like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
better.
Can you
Yes.
hear me now? Yeah, better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So I'm so happy that I connected to that part of me, my family, my grandparents. My grandma just passed away last year, and it's just very, us, the Caribbean family, you know, the island family, we are so connected with the family. We're very united, you know. We love to listen to old stories, you know, old patterns, old cultural traditions and morals and traditions. And that's a big part of us. So also with the folkloric part, I mean, the contemporary and the folkloric traditional dancing that I have inherited, you know, from my mom, and trying to make something new with it, you know, and create a new vocabulary, new language, and to present it in a different form. So it's been a quite of a lot of experience and exploration within dance, and as I said before, I guess with when I don't know, it's just an advice. It's just, you know, feeling that, you know, I think if you want to proceed, continue with dance in a professional, um, in a professional career, I think it's good to have ballet and contemporary modern and all the different styles together as part of the diversity to become to become a diverse dancer. You know, now I'm speaking right now from now, you know, because I guess we're living in a different time right now, and you see that everything is integrating, everything is moving towards each other, and I mean, you know, it's amazing that video that I saw you explaining, Faiza, about your feelings about Curacao, you know, about how you live there. You know, Curacao, it's your home, and how you experienced that part. You know, so I think everyone is experiencing in each their own ways their route, their purpose, their platform. You know?
Yes, yeah, hey, this is I'm enjoying. I'm really enjoying, and it's going. Yeah, I think I don't know for the audience because I've been hearing. I'm seeing that it's a bit quiet, so I just want to check in for the ones who are looking, who's looking at the video. I think it would be interesting, Clara. I have some videos too. From maybe you can talk us a bit what we're seeing in terms of Nia, what you guys, the classes that you guys give. So also going to play a few short clips. Let me see. Yeah.
So NIA was founded on the principle of an interdisciplinary learning space. So we offer everything from vocals to dance to gymnastics to arts and craft, drama, theater. We have a very eclectic group of artists that have come together. The National Institute was formed by the joining of two dance schools. Well, Imbali, which is my organization, was always an interdisciplinary school, and then Motions Dance School. So we came together in 2012, and we brought all our teachers together. And so, and that coming together, we had almost 19 artists, everything. So, and we have highly trained visual artists, highly trained drama theater teachers. Our staff came from Holland, from Nigeria, from India, from throughout the Caribbean. So it was this beautiful space where all this beautiful artistry and a platform to take place. Sadly, because of my new position as head of Department of Culture, which I love, I've had to step away, you know, because I can't, you know, for conflict of interest. So I'm not longer involved in the daily operations of the foundation that I founded, but it's still a very important part of me. And it was a very difficult process to separate myself from it. But as you can see, right now the school, I know, like as all other artist entities, everybody's suffering. Immediately after the hurricane, I created a program called Art Heals. And we opened our doors literally 2 weeks after the hurricane, because I said, okay, this is really an opportunity to show how, as artists, we can offer a service or an experience that's going to help children find their voice after a traumatic experience. So it wasn't just about learning steps. It would literally come in and create works where kids wrote a poem and they danced to the poem about the noises of the hurricane. It was like boom, crack, grrr, and so it really was a place where we really used the art as a vehicle for healing. Since then, we're now dealing with COVID, and as with everybody else, we went online to offer classes and stuff like that. But I have to say that my role is not as front and center anymore. So I'm dealing with that daily to find my own counseling. But,
it's part of the process, Clara.
Sorry?
It's part of the process, right?
Yes, and you know what? I say, okay, what's my role in the Department of Culture? I'm a creative person, I'm a creator, and I said, you know what? In all my life, I've always wanted, I did three things. I started my foundation, which is a small school called in Bali, and it was simple, the same thing, create a platform for arts, art making and art dissemination and cultural heritage. Then when I joined Imbali and Motions together to create MIA, it became a bigger platform with the same purpose. Create a platform to make art possible in the community, art making and art exploration, art education, bring to the community. And now I'm in the Department of Culture. The same role continue. I'm creating policies and legislation to make it possible that infrastructure is there to secure the legacy and into perpetuity that art is going to be ever going to be, will be front and center. It's not going to happen overnight. Our mission statement this year is culture, the artistry of our lives. So really attaching the scope of a well-lived life is reflected through the artistry of what we do. The excellence of our lived experience is really, for me, is that pinnacle of artistry. So in a very pragmatic way, setting up funding agencies, doing career fairs, doing all the things to make art available. But now for me, as the creator, I just had a conversation with a lady that has a warehouse. And I said, you know what? I have the rhythm down. I have this 95 gig where I sit down, but the Clara creator is really now looking to do more of her stuff. So I have a choir that I put together 2 years ago. I still put on a lot of productions. Like we do Run for Freedom, which is a midnight reenactment of a slave revolt. This year, we did it last 2018. We had dancers dancing in the ocean, just like See Your Water. We had dancers in the water, coming out of the water. Last year, we did a midnight run in the hills, But I'm looking for a warehouse group where I can now really, again, focus on not having a dance school per se, but work project oriented. So what's my next project? And really focusing and, okay, this is the story I want to tell, grab the people together, spend in some intensive moments and creating a collaborative process of creating a new work and presenting it. So that's what I want my next chapter, outside of being my regular day job. And moving on from the National Institute of Arts.
Wow. I think there are some interesting things that we should leave from this conversation. We're almost at the end, so this is an announcement for the ones who have questions. Really quickly, they can post a question for either Alidia, Faisa, or Clara. I think the governmental, how that is changed, and I think St. Maarten definitely made steps that the other islands can look towards, and I think one of the lessons is put artists also in governmental positions because people definitely get some type of change when that happens. Another subject that I think is really almost maybe taboo is this thing of aging, that Lydia mentioned, as with age, what happens when you get older, but that you can still do things, and it's especially the experience is an additional value. Barriers, even not only in the choreography, the style, the genre, but also in terms of age. And
I didn't hear.
I think they called her.
Someone is calling for you.
Someone came by, Clara. Sorry.
And I think the other aspect is of dividing. What is the social? What is the technique part, but also involving in your own body, the own self, getting to know the self. are many more. There are some more videos, but unfortunately cannot really show all and continue forever. But I just would encourage everyone to kind of think of this conversation. If others need to be helped, feel free, to kind of enact and throw ideas. I'm going to give each lady a chance to kind of do the closing word if they find things they find relevant or feedback, and then that will be like the ending of our conversation today. I don't know, Faisa, like you have a. Well, how is it for you to see all of it?
Of course, I've seen quite some work of Alidia and Clara already, but it's very beautiful to see like this again, because you see more aspects of it. We hear them speaking, so we can make connections. I think it's very interesting as Caribbean artists. We all have a shared history. Caribbean artists from Dutch Kingdom, we even have a bigger shared history. So I think we all, somehow, we kind of collide, or we have the same things that we are looking for, but we all look for them in a different way and give it another form. But also not only talking about dance, but also other artists, I do see that we have something very specific that we kind of go towards together. And I think that's very beautiful. And about the value of art and having artists in government position, I think indeed this could be a good solution. And I also think it's about listening to each other. And we're not criticizing anything right now. We're just saying look at also this possibility. What is the added value of art, and do you actually know what it is, and how we can use this to develop our culture and our social intelligence and our communities to a higher level.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're right. Yeah, I feel the same way. And also, what really is interesting about Holland, because this is my my third summer here. I've seen a lot in also. I mean, not maybe never. It's never enough to see dance, to see art. Yeah, all in the contemporary form. But I miss here in Holland more of the island. I miss a lot. People from the island with their own productions and more of the creative, in the creative industries, and I know there are also pioneers, there are also people, some with platforms, but I think it's still difficult as natives from the island. In some ways, if you don't have connection, if you don't know the right people, to be in the right place, to be in the right moment, and to be there to create that experience for yourself. So that is another. I hope that could be another talk next time, especially for us now. I mean, I'm living in the Netherlands, but I mean, I still think about Aruba. I still think about Curaçao. I think about the islands. That I miss a platform for the us islanders, as part of the Koninkrijk, to have a space in Holland that that you could go to, so that you could be part of. I guess it's like creating your island in this big sea.
Creating an island in the big sea.
But I'm very happy. I want to finish my thought, saying that I'm very happy and I'm very honored to have all of you together, in this one big platform that you created. You worked very hard. You dedicated your life, your passion, and your background, everything that you carry with you. You take it and you want to share it to the world, for everyone. So that is what I guess that is also part of who I am, and I want to be part of that also. And um, I hope that we can continue inspire and aspire other artists, other dancers, young generations to come, so they could also have that urge, that motivation, that strength to continue, because it's not easy, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. Thank you, Aliyah. That's beautiful. Clara, I have an intro for your end word, and it's being asked to you. How does the government respond to your endeavors regarding the arts? So your colleagues.
Oh,
you know, ooh, can I say sometimes like I'm in a tunnel, I'm just like full steam ahead. You know what? Boy, to tell the honest truth, what do I say? Ahead.
I think I know.
I told my staff the other day, I don't work for government. I work for the culture of St. Martin. I work for the people. I really feel that I have a responsibility to honor their stories. I'm lucky enough that, yes, I'm a civil servant, but I feel so mandated by something larger than all of us. I feel when I talk to the Yayas and the Den and the Miss Nilos and the Miss Ruby Buttes, they're giants in my head, and I cannot desecrate who they are. If this gig works out, I'm going to be here for a minute. If it doesn't last for a long time, then it doesn't last for a long time. But I have a bigger honor bigger than me that I have to honor. So, like for Emancipation Day, I did an event where we had the Emancipation Day celebration. And I remember telling my staff, okay, the MC is a pregnant woman. I want her belly exposed. I'm going to draw Adinkra symbols on her belly. And she's going to be like, no, you can't do that. You can't expose a pregnant woman at the governor. And how pregnant is she? She's going to feel, I said, okay, I hear you. But I said, listen, you're going pregnant in front of everybody. We just did it. And I went there, I was like, wow, that was so beautiful. Yeah. And I was like, the story is more important. Sometimes the story is so important. If you honor the story, it will take you forward. And the truth of the matter is this. I am really inspired by Gema, who is the creator of Sarafina. His play, the first play was called Woza Albert, and it was about a two-man play. And all the funds of that, this was during apartheid years. So all the funds of that play went back into the company. He did another production with 7 men, which was called Asina Mali, which means we have no money. And then all of the money, when everybody paid back money, then it came Sarafina. Sarafina became the international world success. I was in the next production after Sarafina. But here's the story. This man circumvented every law that the apartheid government put in his place to not succeed, A, as a human being, B, as a Black human being, C, as an artist, you understand? And he circumvented everything.
Unfortunately, in a very important part, I think something is wrong either with internet or with the computer. We're going to wait a while to see if
Clara join me.
Yeah.
Yes, I think, we'll wait a while. I see a question. This is Ryan. Hi, Ryan. How can collaboration be more effectively between the islands, Holland, and the rest of the world? That is so true. Stories are important. So I don't know, like maybe if the collaboration, I think this is one way that I can think of to understand more how each island is doing, talking to the artists themselves, and initiating more independent projects. I'm a truly believer of independent project because that gives you the freedom to interact and be open to step outside of your discipline. Interdisciplinary is a thing that it's being mentioned everywhere, so that as well. But I think not to expect nothing expect something from the government always, but really also start from yourself, start creating yourself, and look outside of people that you think, hey, I might work, that is not based on the same island. I think, that needs to be done more and more. I'm not seeing Clara. I really hope that she manages to come back
Come
in.
back.
Uh,
Hi.
yes, I'm
What
gonna,
happened? Who's she?
I will write in the chat to use the link again.
yeah, because it's really important. She was communicating some important things to us. Um, but maybe the internet. Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing her coming in.
Oh.
I'm on my phone.
Oh no.
For some reason, I don't know what just happened. My computer just totally went bonkers. In
It's
any
okay.
case,
I'm
I'm back.
just happy.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're back. You're back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important because you were
You were saying
explaining
something
something
so
very
beautiful.
important.
So I was saying that so this gentleman who had every obstacle put in his way, he made his artistry work for him. And he would always tell us, we're cultural warriors, we're cultural artists, and sometimes I feel I am propelled forward more than just, the art is non-negotiable, the artistry is non-negotiable. There are some requirements that you cannot cheat, there's a reverence that you cannot negotiate, and I don't. I feel like I have to honor that. It's bigger than me, and I have to honor that. One of St. Martin's biggest artists is Roland Richardson. He's world renowned, prolific, and he said to me, Clara, you have the baton in your hand, don't drop it. And art will continue with or without you, but if it's going to be in your hand, you have a responsibility to make sure you pass it on to the next person. So those are the things that motivate me. And I said sometimes you have to really be like, you have to be selfish beyond redemption to protect yourself, your spirit, your artistry, and really block a lot of people out. Sometimes I've made 10 guilders a month, and sometimes I've made 10,000 guilders a month. But I feel very happy in my belly that I had a mother that made it possible for me to live artist life, and because of that, I have a responsibility to make sure I make it possible for other people and never negotiate art and artistry and what that means for all of those that came before us and for all of those that made it possible for us to be here today, as Caribbean artists, B as humans, of the world that have a very important story to tell of our own humanity. Okay.
Ah,
Sorry, guys. I'm on my
It's
phone
good.
now.
Thank you. I want to thank you. It's really come a time we
Let me
went
see if I can have. Sorry, microphone.
over the time, but
Sorry?
I enjoyed it. No, like it was wonderful, and we all had, yeah, I think showed very important parts or highlighted important parts. I hope the audience also enjoyed it and are looking forward to more. Thank you, all of you. I'm gonna close the broadcast. So hope to see you again soon.
Faiza, do you have anything to say before we leave?
I
Ah,
just
she,
said it. No,
yeah,
I
she
went.
said,
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
I'm on the phone now. Give me 1 minute.
bye, bye.